What was Brooklyn King Radio? It was pirate radio frequency 1002.96. It was raw. It was crazy. It wasn't hood. It was neighborhood. See, if it was going down in New York City or any of the 5 boroughs, we were on it. Before there were podcasts, there was Shoutcast Radio. Before there was iTunes, there was Winamp and LimeWire. And before there was anything called the Breakfast Club, there was already a show in New York with 2 crazy guys and 1 woman keeping it all together. These are the archives of Brooklyn King Radio, the wildest show that you never heard of.
Speaking of monks and hottest movies of all time, Shaolin versus Lama, all right? You're not gonna beat this shit. You're simply not, all right? The reason I say you're not gonna beat it is Shaolin versus Lama, with the fight choreography that was in it, it made you look at that shit and then grade the older shit that you watched and say, yo, that shit is inferior.
Yeah.
That shit's just not right.
Yeah.
If they
the fights in that actually beat the Venom's fights.
God, so I'm about to say the same shit. I'm about to sit there and say like, yo, if you took that choreography and put it with the Venoms would have been unbeatable.
Yeah.
Cause everybody loved the Venoms. Everybody loves it. I guess because we was kids and when we watched it, we tried to go outside and do that snake style shit. All right, but Shaolin versus Lama was some other shit. The monks could fight their ass off, yo. Shaolin versus Lama is actually the same movie and shit in the beginning of that fucking Wu-Tang track and shit, man. That fucking what's that? That Cuban Link shit?
Guillotine.
Yeah, guillotine and shit. You know, that's that motherfucker like, you know, allow me to demonstrate the skill of Shaolin. That shit, that shadow boxing shit, that's fucking Shaolin versus Lama. In Shaolin versus Lama, you had this dude. Now this youngster, he was basically running around fighting motherfuckers. He was basically learning martial arts. He wanted to learn as many of them shits as he possibly could. He wanted to master them. And yo, the kid was nice. The kid would go to schools and fuck up masters. So
he basically was trying to find someone that could beat him so he could learn from him.
Exactly, and he met his match.
Yeah.
He ran into that fucking monk, and that monk beat his ass. And the monk had stinking ass feet, and all that nigga wanted to do was drink.
And eat chicken.
Exactly. He was a nigga monk. Alright? But yo, true to form, that monk whipped that nigga's ass. He beat, I'm telling you, that kid was talking that shit, like, yo, show me kung fu. That monk said, yo, get the fuck out of here and let me drink. You know what I'm saying?
That motherfucker was up in the trees chilling.
Yes! He was a fucking monkey. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But I'm telling you right now, that kid couldn't whip that monk's ass to save his life. He couldn't do it. Yo, 30, 40 minutes into the movie, he still couldn't do it. All right? The monk died, and he never could beat the motherfucker. He couldn't. The monk was killed by his student. His student was this renegade cat. His student was another religion of Lama. And now the Shaolins and the Lamas, they'd always fight. But what happened was, this Lama, he infiltrated the Shaolin school. He said, yo, I want to be a Shaolin monk. So they let him be a monk because the Buddhist teachings are always like forgiveness and shit. So this fucking kid who was a Lama in disguise, he became a Shaolin monk. Now the Shaolin, they had this manual called the I Ching Manual. The I Ching Manual, that shit had all the Shaolin styles in it.
That's actually a real book too.
Yes, and it's a real book. It's in Shaolin and shit, and it's encased in glass. And the glass is poison, all right? So if you even touch the glass, you can forget it. Inside the I Ching Manual has everything you need to become a Shaolin master. The poison palm, the snake style, the turtle style, the toad style, yo, dick in your mouth style. All that shit is in the I Ching Manual. That poison palm supposed to be forbidden. You ain't supposed to use that shit because that kills motherfuckers.
Yeah, but you can get rid of it, man. I mean, Golden Arms got rid of it.
Yep.
They put him in a giant oven.
Exactly, and melted that shit right off. Yeah. So you can cure the poison palm, but it's not a good Buddhist technique because it's about killing motherfuckers. But inside the Shaolin Manual, like I said, you'll find all these dope ass styles and shit, man. The fucking iron skin technique, the bronze head technique. You think I'm bullshitting? There's a shit out there, man. Yo, if you run into a nigga with a bronze head, you can forget it. You can fucking forget it. This kid in Shaolin versus Lama stole the manual. And this nigga had all the Shaolin superpowers at his fingertips. So what did this kid do? He went in the woods and learned all them shits. And he said, that's it. I got them all. Tossed that book to the side and went right over back to the Shaolin temple and started fucking up monks one by one. until he met his master. Him and his master had a dope ass fight. Cause his master, who was the monk from earlier with the naked ass feet that like to eat chicken and drink beer, as near as I could tell, his teacher, the monk, he had the tiger style and some other shit. Because he caught him with that tiger shit. He caught him with that shit. And his student, even though he knew all the styles, his teacher was fucking him up. But shadow boxing caught his fucking master. Once he started doing that shadow boxing shit, it was a wrap. But his master had some other shit. His master started doing some real acrobatic shit with the eagle claw, and he caught him. He caught him, and then he switched to that iron skin technique. I was like, God damn, how the fuck you beat this nigga? He switched to that iron skin. That nigga, every time he hit him, ting, ting, ting. I was like, yo, this is crazy. That's just crazy. He beat the shit out his master. Yo, but the master caught him one good time on his armpit. His armpit was his weak spot, because when you got that iron skin style, you gotta have one fucking weak spot. I don't know, I guess that's the rule. So what happened was, remember the kid that was going around whipping teachers' asses? He had to learn this shit called the Butterfinger. The Butterfinger is basically some shit where, you know, you touch a motherfucking shit and you hit their weak spot. You know what I'm saying? The Butterfinger can be used for everyday purposes. You can use a Butterfinger for opening doors. You can use a Butterfinger for pointing that shit like, yo, let me get 6 chicken wings. You can use a Butterfinger for everything. And you can use a Butterfinger to fuck up people, apparently. So in Shaolin versus Lama, this kid learned a Butterfinger and beat the Lama and shit. Beat that dude and shit that killed his master. And that was the end, man. That was, Shaolin versus Lama, one of the hottest movies of all time.